Before you blame people for treating you like nothing, ask yourself this. How many times did you stay silent when your soul was being disrespected? Because the world does not always treat you according to your worth. Sometimes it treats you according to what you keep allowing. Before you ask why people do not respect you, ask yourself a harder question. When did you stop respecting yourself? Because the world is always listening to the way you treat your own soul. Every time you accept less than you deserve, every time you stay silent while your heart is being stepped on, every time you smile while someone drains your energy, you are teaching the world a lesson. You are saying, without words, it is okay. I can be ignored, I can be used, I can be pushed aside, I can be treated like I am nothing. And then one day you wake up angry at the world for learning the lesson you taught it. This is painful to hear, but sometimes pain is the door to freedom. Stay with this carefully, because what you are about to hear may explain why you keep giving your best to people who give you their leftovers. It may explain why your kindness is mistaken for weakness. It may explain why you feel invisible in rooms where you have given everything. The problem is not always that people are cruel. Sometimes the problem is that you have been available for disrespect for too long. You have allowed people to enter your peace without removing their shoes. You have allowed people to speak to you in ways they would never speak to someone they fear losing. You have allowed people to take your time, your loyalty, your forgiveness, your patience, your love, and return nothing but excuses. And still you stayed, not because you were weak in your heart, but because somewhere inside you believed that being needed was the same as being valued. It is not. A person can need your light and still refuse to respect the fire that creates it. A person can need your presence and still treat you like an option. A person can need your kindness and still never honor your pain. This is why self-respect must come first, not after you are loved, not after you are chosen, not after someone understands your worth. First, because if you wait for people to respect you before you respect yourself, you may spend your entire life begging at doors that were never built for you. Look at a mountain. The mountain does not bend because the wind is loud. The mountain does not shrink because clouds pass over it. The mountain stands because standing is its nature. This is what self-respect is. It is not arrogance. It is not pride. It is not looking down on others. It is simply standing in your own place without apologizing for existing. Many people misunderstand humility. They think humility means becoming small. They think humility means accepting insult. They think humility means always giving way, always giving quickly, always carrying the burden, always saying, it is okay, even when it is not okay. But true humility is not self-destruction. True humility is knowing your place in the universe without needing to prove it. A humble person does not shout, I am valuable. They live in a way that shows they know it. They protect their time. They guard their energy. They choose their company wisely. They do not chase those who walk away. They do not force doors that remain closed. They do not argue with people committed to misunderstanding them. They do not beg for basic respect. Why? Because they have already made peace with their own worth. And when you make peace with your worth, you stop negotiating your dignity. Most people lose themselves not in one great tragedy, but in small daily betrayals. The small yes when the soul wanted to say no. The small silence when truth needed to speak. The small apology when you did nothing wrong. The small return to someone who had already shown you who they were. The small lowering of standards because loneliness felt too heavy. The small pretending that disrespect did not hurt because you did not want to seem difficult. This is how a person disappears. Yes, not suddenly, slowly, one compromise at a time, one swallowed feeling at a time, one ignored boundary at a time. Then they look in the mirror and wonder why their eyes look tired. Your eyes are tired because they have watched you abandon yourself too many times. Your heart is tired because it has been forced to accept situations your spirit rejected long ago. Your mind is tired because it keeps creating excuses for people whose actions already gave you the answer. There comes a moment when you must stop asking, why do they keep doing this to me? And begin asking, why do I keep allowing access to people who damage my peace? This question is not easy. It removes the comfort of blame, but it gives you back power. Because the moment you see your role, you can change your role. You cannot control how every person behaves. You cannot control who respects you. You cannot control who loves you properly. You cannot control who sees your value. But you can control who has access to your life. You can control how long you stay. You can control what you tolerate. You can control whether you keep explaining your pain to people who benefit from ignoring it. This is where real strength begins. Not in fighting others, but in refusing to betray yourself. A warrior is not someone who wins every battle outside. A warrior is someone who wins the battle inside. The battle between fear and dignity. The battle between loneliness and standards. The battle between attachment and peace. The battle between wanting to be loved and needing to be whole. Many people do not respect themselves because they are afraid of being alone. So they accept half love. They accept inconsistent attention. They accept disrespectful words. They accept relationships where they are tolerated instead of treasured. They accept friendships where they are remembered only when needed. They accept workplaces where their effort is exploited and their voice is dismissed. They accept family patterns where they must always understand everyone, while no one tries to understand them. And they call this patience. But sometimes what you call patience is fear wearing holy clothing. Patience is powerful when it protects growth. Patience becomes poison when it protects disrespect. A seed needs patience to become a tree. But if the soil is toxic, patience will not save it. You must know when to water and when to walk away. You must know when to forgive and when to create distance. You must know when to give another chance, and when another chance is simply another wound waiting to happen. Self-respect is not about becoming cold. It is about becoming clear about what you value, clear about what you accept, clear about who deserves your closeness, clear about what kind of life you are building. When you are unclear, people will place you wherever it is convenient for them. They will place you in the background. They will place you as the helper. They will place you as the backup plan. They will place you as the emotional dustbin where they throw their frustration and return only when they need comfort. But when you are clear, your energy changes. You no longer move like someone waiting to be chosen. You move like someone who has chosen themselves. And that changes everything. People feel it. They may not understand it. They may even resist it, but they feel it. They feel when you no longer fear their absence. They feel when you no longer panic at their silence. They feel when your life no longer revolves around their approval. They feel when your peace becomes more important than their validation. And this is when many people become uncomfortable, because the version of you that had no boundaries was easier to control. The version of you that always forgave without change was easier to use. The version of you that blamed yourself for everything was easier to manipulate. The version of you that feared abandonment was easier to keep small. So when you begin respecting yourself, do not be surprised if some people call you selfish. Do not be surprised if they say you have changed. Do not be surprised if they try to make you feel guilty for finally having standards. Of course, you have changed. That is the point. You did not come into this life to remain the same wounded person forever. You did not come here to repeat the same lesson until your spirit breaks. You came here to awaken, and awakening often begins with one sentence. I cannot continue treating myself like this. Notice the sentence carefully. Not, they cannot treat me like this, but I cannot continue treating myself like this. Because every time you remain where you are dishonored, you participate in your own pain. This does not mean you caused their disrespect. It means you are responsible for your response to it. And this responsibility is sacred. It is the key that opens the prison door. Many people are waiting for an apology before they heal. They are waiting for someone to admit what they did. They are waiting for someone to understand the damage. They are waiting for someone to come back and say, you were right. I was wrong. I should have valued you. But sometimes the apology never comes. Sometimes the person who hurt you sleeps peacefully because they do not carry your heart inside their chest. Sometimes they move on without ever understanding the storm they created in you. So what will you do? Will you remain frozen at the door of their apology? Will you build your whole life around a sentence they may never speak? No. You must respect yourself enough to heal without their permission. You must respect yourself enough to move forward without their explanation. You must respect yourself enough to stop reopening the wound just to see if it still hurts. It hurts. Now let it close. The deepest respect you can give yourself is to stop returning mentally to places where you were emotionally destroyed. Many people leave physically, but they remain inside the memory. They replay conversations. They imagine better endings. They argue with ghosts. They carry invisible courtrooms in their mind, presenting evidence to people who are no longer present. This is suffering. And suffering becomes identity when repeated too long. You must become disciplined with your attention. Where your attention goes, your life follows. If your attention remains on those who rejected you, your life becomes shaped by rejection. If your attention remains on those who disrespected you, your nervous system remains trapped in disrespect. If your attention remains on those who abandoned you, you begin abandoning yourself in the present. Bring your attention back to your breath, back to your body, back to your path, back to your own life. You cannot build a strong future while staring at the people who failed to honor your past. Self-respect begins in the smallest moments. How you speak to yourself when you make a mistake. How you care for your body when nobody is watching. How you keep promises you made in silence. How you leave a conversation that lowers your spirit. How you stop explaining yourself to people committed to twisting your words. How you choose sleep over overthinking. How you choose discipline over temporary comfort. How you choose truth over approval. These small acts become the foundation of a new identity. People think confidence appears suddenly. It does not. Confidence is built every time you prove to yourself that you can trust yourself. When you say you will wake up early and you do. When you say you will stop answering disrespect and you do. When you say you will no longer chase and you do not chase. When you say you will protect your peace and you actually protect it. Each promise kept becomes a brick. Each act of discipline becomes a brick. Each boundary becomes a brick. One day, you are no longer a person begging for respect. You are a temple that disrespect cannot enter. But understand this, A temple does not argue with every person who refuses to remove their shoes. It simply does not allow them inside. This is maturity. You do not need to fight every battle. You do not need to answer every insult. You do not need to correct every false opinion. You do not need to prove your worth to every blind eye. Sometimes silence is not weakness. Sometimes silence is a locked gate. Many people waste their life trying to be understood by those who are committed to misunderstanding them. They speak more. They explain more. They cry more. They write longer messages. They give more evidence. They open their wounds wider. And still the other person says, "You are too sensitive." When someone benefits from your confusion, your clarity becomes a threat. So stop explaining your pain to those who use your honesty against you. A person who truly respects you does not need 100 lectures to understand basic human decency. They may make mistakes. They may fail sometimes, but they will care when you say, "This hurts me." If someone repeatedly ignores what hurt you, the issue is not communication. The issue is respect. And where respect is absent, love becomes unsafe. Do not romanticize emotional danger. Do not call chaos passion. Do not call inconsistency mystery. Do not call disrespect honesty. Do not call control protection. Do not call abandonment space. Do not call manipulation care. Learn to name things correctly, because when you name something correctly, you can respond correctly. A snake does not become a rope because you are lonely. Poison does not become medicine because you are attached. Disrespect does not become love because you are afraid to let go. See clearly. This is one of the greatest spiritual practices. To see clearly without forcing reality to become what you wish it was. Many people suffer because they fall in love with potential. They do not love the person standing before them. They love the future version they imagine. They say, one day they will understand. One day they will change. One day they will value me. One day they will stop hurting me. But one day can become 10 years. And while you wait for someone to become who you need, you abandon who you are. Respect yourself enough to deal with reality, not fantasy. Look at actions, not promises. Look at patterns, not apologies. Look at consistency, not intensity. Intensity can arrive quickly and disappear quickly. Consistency is where respect lives. Anyone can speak beautifully for one night. Anyone can apologize when they fear losing access. Anyone can change for a few days when consequences arrive. But watch what happens when they become comfortable again. Watch what happens when they think you will not leave. Watch what happens when your boundary becomes inconvenient for them. There, you will see the truth. And when you see the truth, do not close your eyes again. A person who respects themselves does not need to hate those who hurt them. Hatred is still attachment. Hatred keeps the chain alive. You can release without revenge. You can walk away without bitterness. You can forgive without returning. You can wish someone peace and still protect your own. This is strength, because the goal is not to become hard. The goal is to become whole. Hard things break. Whole things endure. The world will sometimes reward the loud, the aggressive, the manipulative, the selfish. Do not let this confuse you. You are not here to copy the sickness of the world. You are here to become so rooted that the sickness of the world cannot enter you. When you respect yourself, you stop competing for attention. You stop performing for acceptance. You stop shrinking to fit in rooms that are too small for your spirit. You stop asking, do they like me? And begin asking, do I like who I become around them? This question can save your life, because some people awaken your peace. Some people awaken your wounds. Some people bring out your wisdom. Some people bring out your insecurity. Some people help you stand taller. Some people make you question your own shadow. Paid attention. Your body often understands disrespect before your mind accepts it. The tight chest, the heavy stomach, the restless sleep, the anxiety before seeing them, the relief when plans are cancelled, the exhaustion after every conversation. These are not random. Your body is speaking, but many people silence the body because the mind is attached. They say, maybe I am overthinking, maybe. But maybe you are finally sensing the truth. Self-respect requires listening to the quiet signals before they become loud suffering. You do not need to wait until you are destroyed to leave what is damaging you. You do not need to wait until you hate someone to create distance. You do not need to wait until your mental peace collapses before you admit something is wrong. A wise person does not stay in a burning house to prove loyalty. They leave because life is sacred. Your life is sacred. Your mind is sacred. Your peace is sacred. Your time is sacred. Treat it that way, because people cannot honor what you constantly throw away. If you give your time to everyone, it becomes cheap. If you give your energy to every drama, it becomes scattered. If you give your loyalty to those who betray it, it becomes self-harm. If you give your heart without discernment, it becomes wounded again and again. Discernment is not cruelty. Discernment is wisdom. It is the ability to say, this person may be good, but they are not good for my path. This opportunity may look attractive, but it costs too much peace. This relationship may be familiar, but familiar pain is still pain. This environment may accept me, but only when I abandon myself. Respect yourself enough to choose what supports your growth, not what feeds your wounds. Some people are addicted to being needed. They feel empty unless someone depends on them. They call it love. They call it loyalty. They call it being a good person. But beneath it, there may be fear. Fear that if they stop giving, they will not be chosen. Fear that if they stop fixing others, they will not be valuable. Fear that if they stop carrying everyone, they will be left alone. But your worth is not measured by how much suffering you can absorb. You are not valuable because you are useful. You are valuable because you exist. This is difficult for many people to accept because they were praised only when they performed. They were loved only when they obeyed. They were noticed only when they achieved. They were accepted only when they made life easier for others. So they became adults who believe love must be earned through self-abandonment. But real love does not require you to disappear. Real respect does not require you to bleed quietly. Real connection does not require you to betray your own soul. The people meant to walk with you will not demand that you destroy yourself to keep them comfortable. They will honor your boundaries. They will listen when you speak. They will correct themselves when they hurt you. They will not make you feel guilty for having needs. They will not punish you for choosing peace. And if they do, they are not your people. This truth may hurt. Let it hurt cleanly. Do not run from the pain into another illusion. Pain that reveals truth is better than comfort that keeps you trapped. When you first begin respecting yourself, it may feel unnatural. You may feel guilty saying no. You may feel anxious when you stop chasing. You may feel afraid when you raise your standards. You may feel lonely when you leave old patterns. This does not mean you are doing something wrong. It means your nervous system is learning a new home. For years, chaos may have felt familiar. Disrespect may have felt normal. Overgiving may have felt safe. Silence may have felt necessary. So peace will feel strange at first. Do not mistake strange for wrong. A cage also feels familiar to a bird that has never flown. But the sky is still its true home. You must train yourself to tolerate freedom. Train yourself to tolerate peace. Train yourself to tolerate being misunderstood without running back to explain. Train yourself to tolerate someone's disappointment without abandoning your boundary. Train yourself to tolerate silence without chasing noise. Train yourself to tolerate your own company until loneliness no longer controls your choices. This is inner training. This is discipline. This is the path. People admire self-respect when they see it in others, but fear practicing it themselves, because self-respect has a price. You may lose people who only like the version of you they could control. You may lose situations where your silence was the payment for acceptance. You may lose the comfort of old identities. You may lose the familiar role of being the one who always understands, always forgives, always returns, always carries, always smiles. But what you gain is greater. You gain your breath back. You gain your sleep back. You gain your strength back. You gain the ability to look in the mirror without feeling like you have betrayed the person looking back. This is worth more than false